Hi, my name is Sarah Brand, and today I'll be presenting on social emotional learning in the elementary classroom. I've cited my sources at the end of this presentation, but first I just wanted to touch on the studies that I used to create this presentation. The first one, by Dyson et al., is called Educators' Experiences of Establishing Social and Emotional Learning Pedagogies in an Elementary School with At-Risk Students. The second one, by Jaegers et al., is called Transformative Social Emotional Learning in Pursuit of Educational Equity and Excellence. The third one, by An et al., is called Promotion of Social and Emotional Learning in a Chinese Elementary School. The first question we need to address is, what is social emotional learning, or SEL? Jaegers et al. Says, SEL is the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. Jaegers also says SEL advances educational equity and excellence through authentic school, family, community partnerships to establish learning environments and experiences that feature trusting and collaborative relationships, rigorous and meaningful curriculum and instruction, and ongoing evaluation. SEL can help address various forms of inequity and empower young people and adults to co-create thriving schools and contribute to safe, healthy, and just communities. In An et al.'s study, they said that promoting social emotional development for all students in the classroom involves explicit SEL skill lessons, integration with academic curriculum areas, and teacher instructional practices. So the next question is, why is SEL important? And we sort of touched on that in some of the definitions of SEL, but I wanted to dive into it a little deeper. The teachers in Dyson et al.'s study noted these effects in their classroom. SEL led to better relationships and improved behavior across the school. It's helped plant the seed of empathy within our students. They're learning how to work together. It's helped us develop a sense of community, and students were cooperating, communicating, and responding more constructively to teachers and their peers when learning in class. An et al.'s study, which took place in a Chinese elementary school, noted SEL interventions can lead to proximal outcomes of a more supportive classroom environment and improved SEL skills for the students, and can eventually affect distal outcomes of improving social and academic performance. They also said our study results also revealed the potential of an SEL curriculum to moderate feelings of competitiveness and anxieties between Chinese children. So here is the big question. How do we implement SEL in our schools, and what are the difficulties with doing so? This is how the teachers in Dyson et al.'s study described SEL in their classrooms. They said too often students are spoken at. They're not spoken to, so we use circle talks to hold them accountable for contributing to the conversation. And regarding conflict resolution in a lower elementary classroom, they said one person talks, then the other person gets to tell the other person what they did, what they don't like. Then they just tell each other what they like about one another to sort of restore that relationship. Another teacher said, my class would circle all day long. It amazes me that they can open up like that. A social worker in the study explained how she would get students to focus on recognizing various different emotions and discuss ways that they can deal with those emotions. Dyson et al. Noticed that SEL work by teachers is all too often impeded by a lack of time, cultural contextual sensitivity, ineffective design and fragmentation of pedagogies, limited training, struggles with conflict management, and a lack of support for teachers' well-being. To combat this issue, Dyson suggests greater support is needed on an administrative level. Such support is especially required for elementary schools with at-risk students, with challenging classroom, emotional climates, and limited mental health supports available for both teachers and students to enhance their SEL and broader learning. Dyson also noticed that strides in the SEL process were impeded by differing understandings of SEL processes, embedding whole school buy-in, negotiating the sensitive school climate, facilitating time and care, and recognizing the role of family and community. This brings up 3 separate dilemmas: school-home disconnect, lack of time to teach SEL skills, lack of continuity across the school. So Yeagers et al. Says that parents are an integral part of the SEL process. They came up with this table that sort of simplifies the role that educators and parents play in the SEL process. It says that educators are responsible for engaging with families as co-creators, connecting family engagement to learning and development, honoring families' funds of knowledge, and creating welcoming cultures. Parents, on the other hand, are responsible for engaging with educators as co-creators, being supporters and encouragers, serving as monitors, and shaping the work as advocates and models. In response to the lack of time for teaching SEL skills, Dyson et al. Says this: instead of implementing isolated SEL programs in schools, there have been calls to infuse SEL pedagogies into existing curricula to enhance its sustainability and break the perceived barrier that there is a lack of time for SEL due to pressures of the regular classroom curriculum. Regarding the issue of continuity across the school in the language and practice of SEL, Dyson et al. Says this: if it's going to be implemented correctly, it needs to be 100% buy-in. Everybody in the building speaking the same language, doing the same structures, the same circles, and the questionings. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. I hope you have learned a little bit more about social-emotional learning and how and why it should be integrated into the elementary classroom.